Assalamualaikum to Madam Siti Rahayu binti Sarman. We are from Group 1 of JAC 2207C. I am ARFAH binti Mohd SHAMSURIZA, and my group members are ARFAH ADLINA binti RAMLI, Najatul Aimi binti Mohd and ELYSYA binti SHAMZUL, and we will be presenting the analysis of meetings and resolutions of Public Bank Berhad, Guan Berhad and Maxis Berhad.
ARFAH binti RAMLI, and right now I will explain about the introduction of our report. So AGM is an annual event whereby the company gather all of their shareholders in a meeting. This is because they want to present their annual report regarding the company's performance and also any information that is related to the shareholders. Before we move on to our study, so right now I will explain about the company's background of the chosen companies. The first one is Guan Berhad. So the company was built on 22nd March 2004 as a public listed company in Malaysia, and their main activity is producing cocoa-related ingredients that can be used for baking. Next is about Public Bank Berhad. This is the third largest bank in Malaysia since they have a total asset of 462.74 billion ringgit Malaysia. And currently, the company already has 443 branches around the world. And lastly, is Maxis. This is an investment holding company which give a good coverage of telecommunication to all their users. The company has been established since August 1995.
Thank you, ARFAH. I am FARHANA, and I am going to start with notifications of AGM to shareholders. Notice of a general meeting is important, and the member who read the notice of a general meeting should receive a fair and accurate description of the meeting. According to Section 319, Subsection 1 of the Companies Act 2016, notice of a meeting of members shall be in writing and shall be given to the members either in hard copy, in electronic form, or partly in both forms. In addition, it should also be presented in at least one nationally circulated Bahasa Malaysia or English daily newspaper and in writing in the stock exchange according to paragraph 7.15 of Bursa Securities Listing Requirements. Taking a deeper look on the three companies, Guan Berhad, Maxis Berhad and Public Bank Berhad all dispatch its notice of annual general meeting to all shareholders at their company's website. In addition, Maxis Berhad also published the notice in a highly distributed daily English language Malaysian newspaper in order to expand its reach and consequently encourage shareholders' participation at the AGM. In addition to that, companies must also comply with Section 317, Subsection 1 of the Companies Act 2016 that state, notice of a meeting of members of a company shall state the place, date and time of the meeting and also the general nature of the business of the meeting, which all the three companies complied with. Moving on to the date of notice and the date of AGM, Section 316 Subsection 2 of Companies Act 2016 states that a meeting of members of a public company, other than a meeting for the passing of a special resolution, shall be called by notice in the case of an AGM, at least 21 days or any longer period specified in its constitution. The meetings should be scheduled with adequate time, especially during the years where companies are switching to virtual meetings due to the pandemic. For Maxis Berhad, a longer period of notice is also considering the time when a few overseas-based directors were unable to go because of travel restrictions. This was done to make sure that, given the time variations between each director's location and Malaysia, the meeting time was ideal for all. Hence, all of the directors and committee members participate fully in all of the meetings in 2021. The meeting for Maxis Berhad 12th Annual General Meeting took place on 22nd April 2021. The notice was published on March 24th, 2021, which is 28 days before the AGM. This is in accordance with Rule 88.1 of the Company's Constitution, Section 316, Subsection 2, Subsection A of the Companies Act of 2016 and the MCCG. For Guan Berhad, the company sent shareholders a notice of its 17th AGM at least 28 days prior to the AGM on May 31st, 2021, which was then held on 10 May 2021. Meanwhile, shareholders of Public Bank Berhad received notice of the Public Bank's 55th AGM on April 22nd, 2021, which was then held on May 24th, 2021. The additional notice period allowed shareholders to have sufficient time to consider the resolutions and make informed voting decisions during the general meeting. Thus, all the companies complied with the period of notice of Companies Act 2016, which should be at least 21 days prior to the meeting. Next, we are going to take a look at the date of the company's last annual general meeting and the current annual general meeting. Arising from the COVID-19 pandemic, companies adhere to the safety and well-being of members of the AGM. Looking at Maxis Berhad's last AGM, the 12th annual general meeting of the company, it took place on 22nd April 2021. Meanwhile, their 13th AGM was conducted on 28th April 2022. Both meetings were held virtually and have been the same since 2020. In 2020, holding the AGM was difficult since conditional movement control orders (MCO) were in effect. Thus, the board was committed to abiding by the relevant legal procedures to guarantee that shareholders had a chance to participate at the AGM. Next, Guan Berhad's last AGM was held physically on 24th May 2021 at 11 AM at Columbus 2 Level 10, 12 Johor Bahru. It was then postponed due to the MCO and was then held on 31st May 2021. The COVID-19 outbreak safety measures were implemented by Guan Berhad throughout the year since the annual general meeting was held in person at 12 Johor Bahru. Their first goal continues to be safety of members in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. Meanwhile, the current AGM for Guan Berhad, which is their 18th AGM, was conducted entirely through live streaming from the meeting venue in Pasir Gudang, Johor. It was held on 30th May 2022 at 10 AM. Continuing with Public Bank Berhad, on June 29, 2020, the company held its first entirely online annual general meeting. The company continued with the same mode of meeting during the last AGM, which was held on 24th May 2021. This year, the company held the meeting on 30th May 2022. In accordance with Section 3.0 Subsection 2 of Companies Act 2016, every public company must hold an AGM within 6 months from the date of its financial year end and not later than 15 months from the date of its last preceding AGM. From the annual reports of these three companies, Maxis Berhad, Guan Berhad and Public Bank Berhad has complied with this requirement as the period between their last two AGMs was not more than 15 months. That is all from me.
For the mode of AGM and platform, every company may select or choose any platform and mode of AGM that they want. They can choose one or more method to run their AGM as long as all members can join the AGM and exercise their rights. All the three companies are using a similar mode of AGM, which is by online, and they all use their own platform to run their AGM. For Public Bank Berhad, they did their AGM at broadcast venue at Menara Public Bank. They decided to choose Trico Investor Issuing Home Services Sdn Berhad as their provider to receive all the questions and also votes from the members. They want to make sure that the AGM will be run smoothly and they want to make sure that the members can exercise their rights, which is to vote and also to voice out their opinion. In my opinion, even though the AGM is being held virtually, but it is still a good step taken by the company so that they can reduce the risk of getting COVID-19. And even though the meeting is being held virtually, but all of their members are still get to exercise their rights. Next is for the Guan Berhad. The company held their 18th annual general meeting virtually at Pasir Gudang, Johor. They decided to choose Maxis Boardroom Share Registrar Sdn Berhad to be their provider. The chairman of the company states that if the members have any inquiries or opinions, they can submit their questions through text. This is to make sure that the questions will be answered by the upper management so that the members can get a clear image of the AGM. Also, the votes from the members will be submitted through an electronic device, which is through a website that is provided by the provider. The company wants to make sure that all votes from the members will not be left behind, because every vote is important, and the company wants to make sure that all members can exercise their rights. Lastly, for Maxis Berhad, they held their 13th annual general meeting virtually at broadcast venue at Petaling Jaya, Selangor Darul Ehsan. They allow their members to exercise their rights by giving out votes through remote participation. And also they use an electronic voting facility, which is their members have to submit their votes through a website that is being provided by the company. Uh, the company also hired Sky Corporate Services Sdn Berhad because they want to make sure that all votes are actually being fairly viewed. Since the Sky Corporate Services Sdn Berhad is an independent inspector for the voting, so all members do not have to worry about the fairness and also the reliability of the vote of the result from the voting, because the company will inspect the
Next, I will present about the appointment of a proxy. A proxy represents a firm or person at the general meeting to vote, and it is a person appointed by a company member to attend, speak, and vote at a company meeting, and it lets a shareholder who can attend vote for him. Every AGM notification must clearly disclose that shareholders can appoint proxies who are company shareholders according to the Section 335 of Companies Act 2016. A proxy can speak as the appointing shareholder. A shareholder may appoint more than one proxy to vote at the same meeting, provided the member specifies the proportion of shares each proxy will represent. For public banks, Berhad proxy appointment, as we know, their 56th AGM was held remotely via live streaming and online remote voting on Flickr Investor and Swing House Services Sdn Berhad online website. Members may submit questions to the board of directors prior to 56th AGM via Flickr online website by selecting e-services to login, post question and submit electronically no later than 21st of May at 11 a.m. Or they can also use the query box to transmit questions via RPG facilities during the live streaming of the 56th AGM. Members whose names appear in the record of depositors on 17th of May may vote at the 56th of AGM. Since the 56th AGM is visual, a member may appoint the chairman as his or her proxy and provide voting instruction. A member may not appoint more than two proxies to vote at the 56th AGM. However, if the member is an authorized nominee defined by the Securities Industry Act 1991, it may appoint up to two proxies for each securities account it holds with ordinary share in the company standing to the credit of the said securities account. When a member appoints two proxies, he must state their share proportion. An exempt authorized nominee may appoint unlimited proxies for each omnibus account. A Securities Industry Central Act 1991, exempt authorized nominee is exempt from subsection 25A. If the appointer is a corporation, a validly authorized officer or attorney may sign the proxy appointment instrument. The company share, registrar, Flickr Investor, and issuing house services Sdn Berhad must receive the proxy appointment by May 21st, 2022 at 11 a.m. via its proxy appointment platform. Email the proxy form to the email required, and the proxy form must also be faxed to the fax number or mailed to the share registrar at the address in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, or the Customer Service Centre Paragraph 8.229A of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad requires all resolution to be voted on. Guan Chong Berhad depositor must be in the record of depositor as of May 17, 2021 to attend, speak and vote. A member may nominate one or more proxies to attend and vote at the meeting. A proxy isn't necessarily a corporate number. Exempt authorized nominees can appoint as many proxies for each omnibus account they possess. Appointing many proxies without describing how each will handle a member access is incorrect. A corporation officer or attorney must sign the proxies form when designing it. A member who doesn't identify a proxy but complete the rest of the proxy form is believed to have appointed the meeting's chairperson as his or her proxies. According to paragraph 8.29A, subsection 1 of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad, main market listing requirements, the proxy form must be deposited at the company's registered office in Muar, Johor at least 24 hours before the meeting. And finally, for Maxis Berhad's proxy, it needs to be registered at the board meeting website. A member entitled to attend and vote at the meeting may appoint a proxy or proxies subject to the following provision. Each member may not appoint more than two proxies, and a member's appointment of more than one proxy is invalid, unless he or she specifies the proportion of the member's shareholding to be represented by each proxy. Before or during 13th AGM live broadcast, member or proxies can email question to Maxis email. Per SC guidance, an authorized member cannot join a corporate meeting via RPEV on 28th of April 2022. Members should appoint the meeting chairman as the proxy and give voting instruction. An exam authorized nominee can design an unlimited number of proxies for each omnibus account. Each ordinary share account can have one proxy appointed. A proxy must include the beneficiary account number and name. Large investor can name 5 proxies, and a proxy isn't an employee. Qualification is unrestricted, and there is also hard copy proxy is available. The hard copy proxy form must be signed by the appointer, his or her approved attorney, and or a corporation official or authorized attorney. Proxy ballots can be requested or join a poll. The proxy form must be delivered by Wednesday, April 27, 2022 at 3 p.m. to Boardroom Share Register Sdn Berhad in Kota Jaya. The proxy may be submitted also electronically to the company share register boardroom share register Sdn Berhad via email no later than Wednesday, 27 April 2022 at 3 p.m. or via electronic means e-proxy through the boardroom Smart Investor portal by logging in and selecting Submit e-proxy form. As we can see, all the 3 companies followed the Companies Act 2016-334 subsection 3, which outlines how to appoint a proxy legally. The meeting notification includes a proxy form, and this is how publicly traded firms' proxy forms must be constructed to allow shareholders to vote on each resolution. No proxy will vote against the preferences of the appointed shareholder, and their intent will be represented in the voting processes. Moving on to the next part, which is voting methods. Public Berhad 56 AGM was polled in accordance with Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad market listing requirements. SRICO will manage electronic voting, and Dealer Business, a veteran Sdn Berhad, will validate the results. The shareholders may vote remotely on a resolution between the commencement of the 56th AGM at 11 a.m. and at the end of the voting session, which will be announced by the chairman of the meeting. After the 56th AGM voting session, the scrutineers will review and declare the poll results, followed by the chairman declaration on the motion's approval. According to Bursa Malaysia, Guan Chong Berhad also voted by poll. Boardroom shall register at Berhad will administer the poll by electronic voting, and independent scrutineers will authenticate the poll results. The 18th AGM will use smartphones, tablets, and computers for electronic voting. Members and proxies with personal voting device have 2 alternatives. The procedure is to scan the email's QR code, and polling starts when the chairman says it's open and ends when he says so. After the chairman ends the voting session, the scrutineers verify the poll result, and the chairman announces the result. To vote remotely during the 18th AGM, you must always have an internet connection, and it also assures the connectivity at the 18th of the AGM. The quality of the virtual meeting portal connection for live webcasts and remote online voting depends on your internet bandwidth and stability. Lastly, for Maxis Berhad voting process, Transfer Chairman announced that online polling would proceed. Boardroom share register as Sdn Berhad presented on electronic voting at the meeting, and Transfer Chairman thanked Boardroom share register for their equal presentation. After the poll opened, shareholder, proxies, and business representatives may vote. Shareholders, proxies, and corporate representatives had 10 minutes to vote. After the poll closed, verifying the result will take 10 minutes or more. Transfer Chairman further said that the voting result will be announced at the meeting once verified. So as we can see, 3 companies voted through the poll. According to Companies Act 2016 Section 52, polls taken at companies meeting are not required to be cast by every member who has more than 1 vote. But a vote on the election of the company chairman or the similar question must be cast by every member who has more than 1 vote, and the result of the poll is a meeting's resolution. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
As for the conclusion, all companies should conduct their AGM according to Companies Act 2016. This is because to protect all of the companies from getting into any law proceeding that could harm their reputation. So based on our analysis, all of the companies have actually conducted an AGM while complying to Companies Act 2016. They may continue to conduct their AGM by using their current method if it is most convenient for them. So that's it all from us. Thank you.
In accordance with the provision of Section 340 of the Companies Act 2016, every public listed company is required to convene an annual general meeting at least once every calendar year. This requirement is in addition to any other meetings that may be called during that time to conduct specific kinds of business. Thank you, Najatul Aimi. My name is Nur ELYSYA and I will be presenting about meeting agenda and resolution of Guan Chong Berhad, Public Bank Berhad and Maxis Berhad. It is important to keep in mind that the terms of ordinary business and special business should not be conflated with the terms ordinary resolution and special resolution respectively. This is one of the most important things to keep in mind. The differentiation between companies is created simply for the purpose of presenting an explanation. It has absolutely nothing to do with the kind of resolution that will be put into action. Based on the notice of Annual General Meeting of Guan Chong Berhad, 9 ordinary resolutions were tabled to the shareholder in the meeting. In the meeting, 5 out of 9 resolutions, which stood for 56% of the agenda, were on the special business. The other 44% of the agenda was on ordinary business of Guan Chong Berhad. Referring to the detailed minutes of the meeting, Guan Chong Berhad has an additional resolution on ordinary business, which was the declaration of the final single-tier dividend for its ordinary shareholders. As stated in the notice of Annual General Meeting of Public Bank Berhad, there were 7 meeting agenda tabled in the meeting. Based on these 7 agendas, none of the resolution was on the special business. This shows that Public Bank Berhad's latest annual general meeting was organized to discuss matters regarding ordinary business. Public Bank Berhad has successfully resolved all the matters by ordinary resolution. For Maxis Berhad, there were 7 agendas in the latest meeting which was resolved through ordinary resolution. In the meeting, 14 ordinary resolutions on ordinary business needed to be passed in the meeting. Out of the 14 resolutions, 8 were to table the proposed shareholders' mandate for the company and its subsidiaries to enter into recurrent related party transactions. Okay, so based on these 3 companies, Guan Chong Berhad is the only company which tabled its special business that needs to be resolved by ordinary resolution. It can be concluded that Maxis Berhad and Public Bank Berhad are companies that are well established and have been incorporated for quite a long time of period. Meanwhile, Guan Chong Berhad has just been incorporated for just 18 years, which means that the company is still going to resolve more matters on special business. So it can be concluded that Guan Chong Berhad, Maxis Berhad and Public Bank Berhad have chosen to resolve all the matters discussed in their annual general meeting through ordinary resolution over special resolution. A simple majority of members is needed in order for an ordinary resolution to be approved. This indicates that the votes yes must amount to more than 50% of the votes that were lawfully cast by each shareholder who was present and authorized to vote. It can be seen that the most companies will choose to do ordinary resolution in order for the shareholder to make decision on special resolution needs 75% of the shareholder vote for the resolution to be passed, which is more risky for the company. So based on our analysis of these 3 companies' notice of meetings, it can be seen that they shared the same meeting agendas on their ordinary business except for Guan Chong Berhad, which they have declaration on its dividend. The other matters discussed in the meeting are the appointment of new directors, the election of directors to replace those who were retiring, the approval of remuneration of directors, the appointment, reappointment and fixing the remuneration of auditors, and the most important one is to receive the audited financial statement for the financial year end. Okay, so that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.